tolerate this behavior much longer.
Interesting views. And the idea, Denise, of this interview is not to give the book away, but what I say to a lot of my authors who I've recently interviewed is that the aim is to give people a tantalizing flavor of what you and your book is about. So yes, you've got 6 chapters. Now, it'll take us an awful long time to go through the 6 chapters, so I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is that I just want to focus on 3 chapters, which I thought were very poignant and significant to me.
Okay.
So I'm going to go to chapter 1. And here you have 35 messages around the title, Hope for a Despairing World. Your first message, that's the one I want to go to, because I thought, oh, wow, this is good. You talk about the world is in a grave place. Your president would like to proceed with the war on terrorism without the Security Council's approval. This is not good for you, needs the world's support for peace. God hears all prayers and answers them. Miracles do happen. Stay close to God, the Garden of Eden. Pray for peace. Do not give up. Miracles happen. Ask and you shall receive. This is a significant opening message right at the beginning of your book. Why did you use this message to kick the whole thing off? And the other messages in that chapter are in a similar vein. This is very powerful and poignant stuff, isn't it?
It is, John. And the reason why I put it out there is to let people know they play a part. Every one of us plays a part in what's actually happening in our world today, on our planet. But the person that's helping us get to what we want to answer our prayers is God. So the bottom line is we all have to turn to God. Like the sentence in the Bible says, ask and you shall receive. We need to remember to ask, and then God will answer us and give us what we need. So we can turn the tides of the way the world is today if we just turn to God and ask him. It sounds very simple, but that's what it is.
What would you say to somebody who might take a more critical view here? And they say, yes, we ask God, but we don't necessarily get the answer that we want.
That's a good point, John. That's true. And sometimes God doesn't give it to us at exactly that minute, you know. And the reason, what I tell them is God sees the big picture and we do not. He knows what's best for us. We just have to have our faith, hope, and trust in him, and know that he's looking out for us, and that the best is yet to come. If it's not now, he has something better in mind for you. But just keep trusting him and keep asking him every step of the way. I mean, when I was going through my contentious divorce, I remember asking God, when is this going to be over? What do I do next? How do I do it? And I was told, just follow God every step of the way. We will guide you every step of the way. They didn't tell me there were 358 steps in this process, you know, but I just followed them day after day, and eventually it worked out. So we just have to keep our hope and faith and trust.
I just wondered what your answer to my question there would be when, you know, sometimes we ask God for a particular thing and don't necessarily get the answer that we want to hear. I just thought what your point of view would be interesting. I want to go to chapter 3 now, please, Denise.
Okay.
And here you give us 45 messages. So this is a real chunk of the book, everybody. This is a big part of the book.
Okay.
And they're all loosely, the messages are all spiritual messages, and they're all loosely based around the general theme of our future. I want to go in particular, Denise, to the 42nd message. It sounds like a bit like the 42nd president of the US, which I believe was Barack Obama. So, but the 42nd message in this chapter like most chapters, you start off with Dear Child. And I understand why you do that. It's because, as you rightly point out, we are all children of God. So you start out Dear Child. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But you talk about a retreat, and you've already mentioned that you've been on some retreats here. And I'm thinking, okay, I've been on retreats. So you talk about, again, peace on earth, about the conversion of the evil ones, and for God's intercession with our world leaders. It is vital and important that we do this every day. And you've already said that. You pray and meditate every day. And to encourage others. That's also important. And I think you're doing this through your book.
Mm-hmm.
Do you strongly believe in the message that you are conveying here? Divine intervention is possible for everybody. So your messages, your spiritual messages in this book, and particularly this chapter, Our Future.
I do believe, John, that the divine intervention is possible for everyone. I think of all of us had challenges in our lives, and sometimes our egos and trying to get through it on our own, practicing everything we know, does not work. So then finally we give up and go, okay, God, what do you think? Finally, and he's there waiting for us. But we have to do everything we think is possible first, speaking for myself. And when you turn it over to God, oh my gosh, you truly can watch the miracles happen. And you think, why didn't I do this sooner? Look at how God handled this. And I still do that, John, when I say my prayers at night. There might be a problem or two coming up, and I'll say, okay, God, it's in your hands. I'm not going to take it back and worry about it. I'm just going to give it to you and see. And then within the next day or two, boom, I even forgot that was a problem because it worked. It just smoothed right out. So you can start with little things asking God for, and then the major things, but he's there to definitely help us. You could see him in nature. I mean, yes, I do live in a beautiful part of the world, and I see him in the sunrise, sunsets, flowers, wildlife, nature. It's all we have to do is open our eyes. It's real. We do live in such a beautiful place. Our planet is beautiful, and
so
God
you
gave
do
it
get a
to us.
lot out of when you go on your retreats. Do you receive an awful lot of your spiritual messages there? And is that where some of those messages that you've put in the book, particularly in this chapter, Our Future?
Yes, you're right, John. As I said before, I'm used to being in the rat race. And when I'm busy like that, I don't have time to stop and think. And hopefully my behavior is changing a little bit after COVID, and I had a chance to reevaluate the busyness. But when I'm on retreat, it's typically a 10-day retreat. It's a post-intensive retreat, so we're in silence 95% of the time. So our nervous system gets a chance to really calm down. We meditate up to 3.5 hours a day. We're on vegetarian diets. So then we're like pure instruments to receive. We're finally there for God and say, okay, here I am. What do you want to tell me?
Wow.
And, yes.
Let's go to chapter 6, Denise.
Okay.
Yes, I am skipping along here because, as I said, this is a flavour, everybody. I'm not giving the book away. If you want to know what the book's about, go and buy it. Can't be more blunter than that, can I?
Thank you. Okay.
Let's go to chapter 6 here. You have 15 messages. So this is the smallest of the chapters, everybody. And under the guise, God speaks to us always and in all ways, you know. Mm-hmm. So the 6th message I thought was an interesting one. You start off, yes, you're experiencing another chilly day in Colorado, minus 22 degrees Fahrenheit. And for those of us in the United Kingdom and elsewhere that use Celsius, it's probably about 2 or 3 degrees Celsius, but it's still a little bit nippy. Mm-hmm. But you say it's good to talk with you again in the retreat, the center hallway. At least here you shall be nice and warm. You talk about God's divine plan and better days ahead. And here you are again talking about the future, better days ahead. you're talking about medication, not medication, I do apologize, meditation.
Yes.
And prayer, and that God will eventually answer your questions. And I think you've done this beautifully in chapter 6. Again, you're coming back to trust, you're coming back to peace on earth, you're coming back to the messages, you're coming back to divine inspiration. Mm-hmm. This is you in these 15 messages summarizing what you as a person stand for, isn't it?
Yes, that's true, John. It is. Because I truly believe what I hear from Jesus, the Blessed Mother, God, when I'm walking down the road in silence. They're telling the entire human race to have hope. And I do believe better days are coming. I do believe our entire planet is being elevated to a new spiritual level. And that was God's plan for us since the beginning of time. He even tells me that we will return to our original Garden of Eden, which is fascinating, and tells me that it will be as if heaven descended upon earth. And I do believe there's a shift now. I believe there's a growth out there in spirituality, not particular organized religions, but people are just improving their relationship one-on-one with God, a higher power, the source, because they know that's what really counts and that's what's real. And yeah, I really do believe we're in for much better days, and I'm excited about it.
Oh, let's hope so. Mm-hmm. Denise, I say to a lot of my authors, who do you see as your market for this book? And furthermore, who would you like to see reading this book of yours, Love Conquers All? And do you think love conquers all?
I know love conquers all. That is the one emotion that transcends space and time. It truly is. When our loved ones pass away, we know until we see them again. But that love is strong, and we will see them again at another time, another form. The audience, John, is for everyone. I mean, they tell me, well, how should we divide it up? Just in spiritual level, Christian. Actually, it's for everyone. I wish our politicians would read it, seriously, because they need to step back and say, wait a minute, we're dealing with the entire human race. Majority of the people out there do not want war. They want peace. They want to have a good life, that they enjoy their friends and family. They're not asking for the moon and stars. Let's get back to basics.
Wow.
And love is a strong emotion that brings us all together.
Great. What's next for Denise Bachrodt, in life? Are you going to write more books? If so, are they going to be spiritually based, or are you going to jump ship and write on another genre? What's next for you?
Thank you. Well, I did sign a non-disclosure agreement with my divorce, so I can't write a scandalous bestseller. That's out of it. So I'll probably write, when I do, will be another spiritual book. But what I'm doing in the meantime, John, is my daily podcast, just 2 minutes every day for people to tune in and keep the faith going and the hope that better days are coming.
Where can people get your book, Denise?
They can get my book on Balboa, BALBOA, press.com, Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com. And if you happen to be in Colorado, St. Benedict's Monastery Bookstore in Snowmass has it as well.
And of course, your own website.
Yes, that's true. You can get it from my website.
From your website.
Thanks, John.
Denise Bachrodt, thank you for coming on my show and for giving me the great opportunity to chat to you about yourself and your book. Denise Bachrodt, everybody. I'm JT Crowley. Thanks for listening, watching, wherever you are in the world. So until next time, stay safe.